Howdy, folks. This is my growth as a man. So, today I'm talking about pretty much where I come from or came from and how I am now. And it's a tremendous change. I was talking to my friend about it, and, I was going down memory lane and thinking about how I used to be. And nowadays, it's a completely different person. I've completely changed. I've grown, and I'm very proud of myself for growing in the way that I have. For instance, whenever I was whenever I was growing up, I always thought that women, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but it was just the people I was around and the older guys that had come into my life. They were steering me in the wrong direction. But I always thought that the more women that you have on your dick, the better, which truthfully is not the way a man should be living his life. What you should be doing is finding the woman that you truly love, that you truly can say that this is the woman you want to be with for the rest of your life, and making memories with that woman, making her happy and she making you happy. Make each other's life easier so life can be easy to live. Well, in my coming years of, like, I'd say 16 all the way up to about 22, I was I was not a good man when it came to being a faithful guy. I cheated on a regular basis when it was a lot of women that came into my life that were good women that loved me for me. There was a couple of people that I will say I am very sorry for hurting in my coming years. And I just wish the best for them, honestly. I wish that they don't they don't encounter another me. I wish I wish the best for them. I just hope that they do not encounter another me. At least when it comes to being immature and not ready. So it took me from 16 to 22 to actually be faithful to somebody. And it is a stark difference of what a relationship is whenever you don't cheat, whenever you don't, fuck things up and you're actually faithful. You don't have to worry about trust issues. You don't have to worry about, oh, I'm trying to go hang out with my friends. Why aren't you not letting me help hang out with my friends? Well, they had issues because they felt as if I would not be hanging out with my friends. I'd be go tricking some girl out or something. And truthfully, that's not me anymore. It's too much time. It's too much effort. It's too much of a headache. Like, I'm already locked in with one woman. I'm not trying to sit here and go back and forth with other women and just for sex. Like, it's too much. But I have come a long way in that aspect. I am able to walk away from somebody that's putting the pressure on me. I'm able to stand my ground and say, no, I do not want to take part in it just because you have a big buns, big yams, and a pretty smile. No, because at the end of the day, you're not the person that's been there with me through my hard times, through my very bad days, through my not wanting to do it anymore. You're not that person. All you see is somebody that's semi-attractive to you, and then you want to pounce, and that's not what I want. That's the most unattractive thing that I've seen. I'm more of a conversation person, and, like, even if somebody is able to pull deep and meaningful conversation out of me, it's not going to make me feel as if, oh, I need to start messing with this person. Like, no. But previous me would have. Now it's like, I'm committed. I don't feel like doing anything else other than trying to live my life and live it with the person that I'm with. The dating pool nowadays is so bad. It's like you don't know if somebody's transgender, you don't know if somebody is an OnlyFans model, you don't know anything really because a lot of people lie. And that's another point I want to segue into is that I was a huge liar whenever I was growing up. Huge liar. For instance, one of my close friends in my childhood, which I still love the man to death, I told my friend Dylan that, oh yeah, my uncle makes video games and he stays in the basement of my grandma's house and he's letting me demo some video games that he's making. I never had an uncle that lived in the basement. I just was chalking up a good story to, seem cool or on par with what he had going on. Because I'm not going to say he had a amazing, rich life, but his family knew what they were doing. And they knew how to manage finances, which meant they had land, had a house, was able to go on trips and things of that nature. Well, I was poor. I'm not going to say I was the poorest, but there's been times where you had to use that oven to heat up the house. And, I hated to not be on par. And then, growing up, I've come to realize that there's no reason for me to compare myself. Everybody has a completely different story than mine. So be proud of the story that I come from and learn from it instead of trying to put up a false illusion of my story's cooler than what it is. Like, no, I'm just a regular guy that lived in a part of Virginia that, came up and moved out. Yeah, there were some drugs coming in and out of the house. Yeah, there was some stuff going on in the house that wasn't all that good for a kid to see. But it's not like I had the worst life in humankind. There's people that are really struggling out here, not able to even eat. At least I had spaghetti, even if it was spaghetti 5 days out of the week. I still had something to eat, still had something that could fill my belly and keep me going for the next day. And that's something I looked back at as well, is that I didn't know we were really struggling that bad until I started to think about the meals that we ate, or think about like, oh, okay, we can't get this right now and whatnot. But that's so being unfaithful, lying, I've really grown from that. Now I tell the truth no matter what. Because it's like, one, it's easier to tell the truth and remember the truth because it's an actual memory instead of a false memory. And two, you gain respect by being truthful, period. A woman would rather be with a man that will cut it straight with them. Tell them from the get-go, I don't want you as a wife, I just want you for some coochie. The women will love that. But a man that's sitting there lying just to get into their pants, saying, oh yeah, I love you, all this other stuff. Yeah, you still might get the coochie, but you're dealing with crazy consequences at the end. Like, you might not have your favorite hoodie that you used to wear all the time because she burned it. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of experience. So, just being truthful, being honest was a really big step for me. And the big turning point was just, like I said, it's easier to remember the truth. Why sit here and lie when it's harder to remember the truth? So, yeah. Also, another growth thing that I've come to realize is that I used to be very depressed. I used to be almost like a crippling depression to the point where I wouldn't get out of bed unless I needed to use the bathroom. Like, that was the type of depression I had. I didn't cut myself. I didn't harm myself. I tried multiple times. I got everything ready to, but I didn't go through with it because there were certain things in my mind stopping me. For instance, there was a time that I was living at an aunt's house and I was done with life. I was ready to just give up. I was ready to, lights out, right? I had ran bath water. I had gotten the knife. And my plan was to go into the bath water and slit my wrists and just bleed out into the bath. The thing that really stopped me was just my mom. I didn't want to do that to her. No matter how much pain that I feel like I was going through, I knew that the pain that I would have given her from taking my own life when she tried so hard to give me mine would have been insane. It would have been to the point where she probably wouldn't be able to do what she needs to do to survive. And I did not want to do that to my mom. I already crippled her enough in finances and being able to live life in her early days. I didn't want to make it to where she couldn't even live life in her adulthood, you know? So I withdrew from taking my own life, and I drained the bath water. I put the knife down. I cried for a good amount of minutes. It was like half an hour. And called a buddy up, and he had helped me, he talked me off of the edge. He talked me off the edge, It was just like, come on, let's play some video games, get your mind off of it. And, I got my mind off of it. He was there for me. So it's really like, and I'm so happy. I am so happy to come from that, to be able to say I defeated that feeling of just wanting to take it. Because at the end of the day, it really isn't worth it. Like, just live life. Yeah, if you die, you die. But don't sit here and take your own, because you never know what could happen tomorrow, whether it be a good thing or a bad thing. You never know what tomorrow holds. So keep on living for tomorrow. Another growth thing. This goes back to the whole suicidal thing. I was very emotional. I was a very emotional man. I used to live by emotion instead of logic, and now I would say I'm the opposite. I'm able to look at a situation and say, does this make sense? Does this value my time and my effort? Does this put us in a better position that we were already in, But back then, it was pure emotion. For instance, this girl that I would say I was swindled. I was really in love with this girl, like to the point where I stayed on the phone with her while she had slept. And this was FaceTime, all right? Well, not FaceTime because I got an Android. Yeah, I say it. But I was on like Google Duo with her the whole night. She had went to sleep at like 10, 11, right? I sit here, stay on the phone with her while I'm going out with my buddies up in Maryland, chilling. We on the road, you know what I'm saying? We outside with it. 2, 3 a.m. I'm still on the phone with her. We go to McDonald's. I'm still on the phone with her. All because whenever I disconnect, she'd wake up and call me back and say, don't go nowhere. You know how, like, that was a different feeling, bro. I'm not even gonna cap. That was a different type of feeling. So, I'd say I was really in love with this girl. I even went down to her, took a little 4-hour drive, and yeah, spent some time. And I ruined that situation by lying. I ruined that situation by not being truthful. And I wouldn't say that's like one of my biggest regrets, but it was not needed to lie. And by me lying, and this was really the turning point, I was like, I hated myself. Why do I lie? Why can't I be truthful? And I was driving Shelby. That's my first car. I was driving Shelby on 95, weaving through traffic very recklessly. And I was planning on killing myself. I was planning on taking myself out yet again. But this wasn't I'm depressed, take myself out. It was I'm very disappointed in myself, and all I do is hurt people. So I wanted to take myself out. And, of course, I didn't go through with it. I got real close. I got a little too close for comfort. And that's why I got a tattoo. It's a speed therapy right here. to remind myself of that instance, to really take it in for a learning lesson instead of sitting here and wanting to give up. You know, why sit there and realize that you're a bad person and just take yourself out because of it instead of living to become the good person that you want to be? And I'm glad that I took the route that I did by living, because it wasn't needed for me to die. It wasn't needed for me to leave this earth over a woman. And I'm sure, and that was the crazy part, is that I wasn't even thinking about my mother in that instance. I was just thinking about me and how bad I was. But I took the moment to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take my life. I'm not going to sit. And it took a lot of people talking me off of that ledge. Yeah, my buddy up in Maryland, he had called me. And the woman I'm with now, she even called me too, which is very funny. But, yeah. I hope that woman, that previous love, is doing okay now. I'm sure she is, whoever she is with. Lucky guy, and I hope you're treating her right. But, yeah, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for doing what I did, lying. I'm sorry for that. And I feel like no matter how much I say I'm sorry to myself, or even try to say I'm sorry to her, I don't know if I could forgive myself for that, because it was a person that I really did care about, But, yeah, I've really grown as a man. I've really grown from being the swindler, the guy that would just be with any girl and break hearts left and right for no reason, to the man that I am now, somebody that cares, truly cares, and not just a front, but truly cares about somebody's emotions and how I end up making them feel. I truly care about what I do in life and what I convey. I truly care about how good my word is as a man. Because at the end of the day, as a man, that is all you have. No money, no clothes, no cars, no clothes, no cars. The only thing that you have as a man is your word. And if your word isn't steadfast and strong, then you truly are nothing. You truly aren't a man. But once you are able to say, I am an honest man, I am a man of good morals, I am a man that moves towards logic instead of emotion, I am a man that cares about people's well-being. I'm still growing into the man that I want to be, but to see the growth that I've had from being 16, even 20 or 22, the 3 years, I'm 25 now, the 3 years that I've seen the growth it's immense. And I'm happy that I've really focused on that, really changed. Another person that I wish I could say that I'm sorry to her. I don't know how I could ever get into contact with her ever again, but I really do want to say sorry to this girl. I'm not going to say her name, but she lives in Virginia somewhere. And, I went to her house. It was a late night trip. And we spent time together. We had a little bit of sexual relations. And, she asked me, so we're dating now, right? And I said, yeah, we're dating. You're my girlfriend. The next morning, I meet her family. I chop it up with them. She makes me eggs. And I proceed to never talk to her again. And it wasn't even like she was a bad person. She was a good person. At least from the talks that we had. She seemed like a very kind-hearted person. She was very talented. She could do nails. She was like the number 2 nail designer in a competition or something of the sort. She was a very, very talented and a very cool person. But I I was not in the right mindset. I was not in the right feng shui to give her what she deserved. I just took it as get it and go. I did another one. But looking back, it was probably the most malicious thing that I've ever done. And I feel so bad for it. And I wish I could tell her I'm sorry, but I don't think I can really get in contact with her anymore. But yeah, I've really come a long way from being a bad person to what I could say now is a good man. Truly. And I'm proud of myself. But if you guys want to put in the comments how much you've grown, how much you've changed over the years, or some things that you want to change, I'd love to hear the discussion in the comments. And thank you. Thank you for sitting down with me with a good old talk. I'll see you on the next time.